breath. Yay! We are live! Woo, woo, woo!
Now it's happening.
It's happening. It's actually happening. Welcome to the Confidence Academy. This is TCA Live, and we're doing it a bit different this week. So this would usually be 8 p.m. on a Thursday, my time, but we flipped it on its head because we've got Eloise Skye in the house, and Eloise is in Australia. Eloise, welcome back.
Thank you. And I have nothing on a Friday night.
I love it. Do you mean nothing on in your clothes, or do you mean just nothing? You're just hanging out on a Friday night. Where else would you want to be other than with me here?
Free schedule. Exactly. So,
oh, I love it.
And so, to be here. It's so fun to be chatting with you again.
It's going to be awesome. And actually, we are going live in 3 different locations today, you guys. Can I get a woo from the people that aren't here yet? Woo! In fact, there are people dropping in now, I can see. Hello. So if you're watching this on the replay, hello and welcome. You can still post your comments, your questions, anything that you want to add to the conversation. You can do that in the comments. Because we're using StreamYard, it may not show me your name. So if you're watching live and you post a comment, I will see it. I might not see your name. However, having said that, I have got it up on my phone over here as well. So what is the question for today? It's at the bottom of the screen. This is why I love StreamYard. Look at all the things. Look, we've got the branding. We've got the professional. Very professional. I know it's probably not true, is it? People are going to think I'm professional when I'm not really. But anyway, we are. So for those of you that don't know, if you're watching this and you're like, what have I stumbled onto? Eloise was my guest this week on the Confidence Academy podcast. And the title of your episode was my favorite title yet. And it was actually a direct quote from the episode because you mentioned it through the chat, which was when man plans, God laughs. And I just loved it. I loved it when you said it. And I was listening back to the episode to edit. And I was like, oh, that's the title. Because it's so true. And, you know, there's always such synchronicity with these episodes as well. And we recorded this last year. Was it November last year? It was a while back.
Was trying to cast my mind back, and I'm like, I don't know that person. I don't know. I don't know what we talked about. But yeah, it's just time is just very strange at the moment. You know, things we're all changing.
I can't believe how long it's been. I'm like, what have I been doing? Why has it taken this long to get the episodes out? But it's because there's always such a stack of episodes to get through. And I absolutely refuse to put out more than one a week. And I even had a chat with my VA this week and was like, should we do more? And then I was like, no, because the reason I do one a week is I like people to really savor it and enjoy it and really sit with the message. And I think if I just bash them out every day, you don't get that opportunity. You would miss so much, and every conversation is gold. So I'm just sticking with it. It is what it is. It just means that if you're a guest on my podcast, you might be 10 years older before it actually gets put out there. But still, this is where we're at. So we're going to kind of dig a little deeper into some of the conversations that we had on that episode. And I've pulled from that a question to pose for today, which is, how can you free yourself from expectation? And the reason I pulled that question out was because, first of all, it was quite a theme through our conversation anyway, but also it's been a bit of a theme in my journaling recently. And, you know, relative even to my goals that I'm setting for myself and the reasons why I might be disappointed in myself. And I think it's such a key thing that we can talk about, because there are so many people in the world constantly that are feeling like they're not further along, you know, they're not where they should be, or they haven't achieved what they thought they might have achieved by that date, or whatever it might be. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of self-development. I'm a huge fan of spiritual teachings, but I think there's a huge underlying current of, what's the word? Like energy of you should be here, like it should be this way. And this is how life should be. And if your life isn't like that, then somehow you've failed the exam or you didn't get there yet. And interestingly, yesterday, I was reading a post of somebody on Instagram who I've been aware of them for years. We've been in the same Facebook group for a long, long time. And I saw, we've got a kitty. It's a kitty live stream. Oh, look. Oh my God.
Sorry,
I
I
want to
suspected that was going to happen. I'm so sorry.
Please don't apologize. I want to squish his face. Is it a he or a she?
It's a he. He's
Yes.
adorable. He's a kitten.
Oh my goodness. So
yeah,
you didn't have this kitten when we did our chat before, right?
No, I have become a cat mum.
Yay! Oh, I love it.
Had him for about 6 weeks, and he has a British short hair.
Oh,
so British blue. He's got a squishy little face. He's absolutely ridiculous, but
what have you called him?
Osito, which is Spanish for little bear.
Oh, I love it. Little bear. So cute. Well, little bear, you are welcome on the live stream at any point. It's all good. It's just as well Sophia's not here because they'd be vying for the cute factor. I think your cat might win at that actually. Sophia's now tipping into, she's now a three-nager, not so cute, you know. She's losing her magic already. But yeah, this post I saw yesterday from this girl that, you know, obviously I don't know her at all, but I know of her. And she'd received a cancer diagnosis last year on her birthday. Can you believe it? And she wrote this really thought-provoking post about she's always been spiritual. She's always been into self-development. She's always been into goal setting. She's always been into meditation and like listed all the things that she'd done. And she was like, what's the point of that when none of that worked? And do you know what? And it wasn't such a negative post. I've kind of painted it in a negative light, but it wasn't. It was very much a musing post. Like she was very much acknowledging, look, this has been my belief system all the way along. And that belief system has just let me down. And she's obviously having this moment of, oh my God, I don't know who I am then, because all of the structures that I'd built up, all of the, you know, foundations that I thought were holding me safe haven't kept me safe because now I've got this thing. And simultaneous to that, in my journaling, I'm constantly battling between, I love how it feels when people say you can create your reality, you can write your reality, you can meditate on it, you can journal on it, you know, if you focus for long enough, you can have it. I love it, love how it feels. But there is this little part of me that's like, I do think that's true. I do think there are elements where that's true, and for sure we can shift our perspective and we can really make magic happen. But I also think that we are here to walk a path, and sometimes that path is going to involve a challenge that we could never have foreseen, that we would never consciously ask for in a journal, right? From our human perspective. No, I don't know anybody that would go, please give me cancer, because that's going to be a great learning curve, right? Nobody's going to ask for that. And yet plenty of people get given that path and other things like it. So this all comes back to expectation. And it's the expectation we put on ourselves. It's the expectation we put on processes, whether that be journaling, meditation, or whatever. And so the question I'm asking, which is a huge one for a Friday morning, it's only just gone 10 a.m. here. It's a biggie for that time of day. How can we free ourselves from that? So I would love to hear from you on everything I've just said, and specifically on that question. And then we'll see where we go from there.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've very much been going through the same thing as well. So you know, I'm kind of an astrologer, spiritual teacher, blah blah blah, lots of different things. But I moved house recently and became a cat mom, and so, you know, something like moving house, you know, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot of kind of pieces to put together, working all of that stuff out, and it really takes you out of this kind of intuitive space, you know, because you're dealing with the day to day. So I was finding that I was losing my connection to my kind of practices and things because of this. And then, you know, it goes so far, and then you're like, where am I? How did I get here? And, you know, how do I get back? And, you know, being able to recognize that I can't just get back to like meditating twice a day and, you know, like all of the things, and like journaling and exercising and yoga and whatever. Like you just do one thing at a time, you know, because when you're trying to go back to doing all of the things, which was like the good routine that you had, it doesn't work like that. It's like, saying that you're going to, lose weight in a week. It's a slow process. You've got to like take the steps to get back to where you were. So I've had that realization as well, or not necessarily realization, because I think we all know it on a practical level, but experiencing the lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, I was journaling yesterday morning because, and journaling is something I've really come to enjoy. But there was definitely a time when I first learned about journaling and the concept. I mean, let me start by saying I've always done a version of it. I used to write my dreams down when I was like 13 years old. I would just feel compelled because they were so off the wall nuts. And I'm known well, like the people that know me in real life, it's kind of a known thing that my dreams are just next level ridiculous. They're ridiculous. And like anyone that ever comes up and goes, oh, I had the weirdest dream, I'm like, nah, I bet I can beat it. Like, I bet I can beat it. They always start out like regular dreams. Regular dreams are mad anyway. They're nuts, right? They're just pulling all kinds of things from our brain and then splurging them out. But then mine always take a sinister turn into absolute madness. And I think if anyone in a white coat, like looked at my dream diary, they'd probably just lock me up immediately and be like, you're definitely not right. I don't think that's a revelation. I think most people that know me know that there's something a little bit screwy with my brain anyway. But so I wanted to say that because actually a form of journaling is something I've always felt led to. It's never been something I religiously did every day. But I very much used to write my dreams. I would very much write my feelings. A lot of people keep a diary at that kind of age, those angsty teenage years when you hate everyone and you think the world's against you and you're like writing furiously in a book about what it all means. So, in that degree, it was something I always was led to anyway. But then, like you said, you sort of fall out of the habit, you forget you can do it, or you just don't feel compelled to or whatever. And then something brings you back to it. And so when I was brought back to it a few years ago, it was in my pursuit of how do I overcome this anxiety that I've been diagnosed with? I don't want it. Like I was coming from a place of I don't want it anymore. Like it needs to leave. It's getting in the way of all the things I wanted to do. Like I didn't order this, so I'm sending it back. Like, I don't want it. So what can I do? And I came across this concept of journaling, and the way it was taught was you can write your reality. And I was like, awesome, that's what I'm going to do then. And so initially my journal habit was restarted from a place of me trying to control my outcomes, right? Basically setting expectations. And it's called setting intentions. I think there is a difference because I think you can have intention without expectation, but I didn't have any concept of any of that when I started. So I really just thought, cool, I'm going to write in my journal the list of things I would quite like. And then I'll just sit here and I'll wait for the universe to just plop them in my lap. There's nothing for me to do. And as I went through that process, expectation was building up. And this is where it's a sneaky because you don't realize that you're building expectation while you're doing all of these brilliant things that can really help with anxiety, stress, depression, and all the rest of it. You don't realize that underneath that, you're building up this expectation. And then you start to get to, so where's my shit then? Like, where's my thing? Where's my outcome? Where's the thing? Like, this is all very nice and everything, but I'm still not a millionaire. So what the fuck, like, and how much longer do I have to do this? And it was interesting because one of the people that because I've drawn from lots of different teachers, but one of the people that I drew from who's very much into journaling recently said, even they had had a bit of an epiphany around their journaling where they were like, oh, I've realized I don't actually have to do it every day anymore. Like it's getting into that belief system. Again, it's attachment, isn't it? It's, oh, I have to do this thing, otherwise I can't get this thing. And then you're missing the point, And so I think in terms of freeing ourselves from expectation, it's definitely an ongoing conversation. It's an ongoing choice we get to make. So again, yesterday I woke up and I could just feel that I was in this energy of expectation and then immediate disappointment, right? Because I haven't got where I want to get yet. I don't have what I want yet. Like all of these things and completely ignoring everything I did have. So I hit my journal, because now journaling is a form of channeling for me. I channel guidance. Where that's different and where it's a lot cooler and also more annoying is you will just channel the guidance. It's not always pretty. It's not always what you want. And what I got yesterday was cool, because normally what I get is guidance, hard and fast guidance. It's literally, I ask a question and the answer comes. What I got yesterday was more questions, and I was asking a question, and then the guidance was like, but what if it was this? But what if it was that? And the main theme that came through was, could you be satisfied with everything you've got right now? If somebody came along, like, I don't know, a magical genie or something, something that looked like it knew what it was talking about when it comes to universal law, if that thing floated down in front of you and went, this is it, well done, you arrived, you've learned all your lessons, you've achieved everything you wanted, now you're here, you can live out your life, this is it. Could you be all right with that? And I was like, I don't know, I don't think so. Because so much of what drives me is my belief that there's more. It's my pursuit of more. So that was what came through. And then what followed was, okay, then, so can you just learn to be okay with everything you've got now, though? Because it's this expectation that actually, I thought it was fueling me, but actually it wasn't. It was taking the wind out of my sails. I wasn't able to enjoy everything I had. I was too busy looking for the next thing. Like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Like, I'm ready now. I want to leap. Let me leap. Let me do the thing. Like, bring it on. And it was like, no, you have to just stop and be absolutely 100% okay with everything you have now. Okay with everywhere you are now. Knowing that actually, of course, there's always growth. There's always expansion. When you stop growing and expanding, that's the day you die, right? That's what I believe. But let's stop putting so much expectation in the future, because it's robbing you of the joy of today. And that was really the theme that came through that journaling. And I closed my journal feeling a bit like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't want to do that. But as the day went on, I did actually start to feel better, because I stopped feeling so sad that I wasn't in my mansion yet, that I was like, I've got this thing, two things at the moment. I really want to go to Hawaii, and I really want a camper van. Not necessarily I'm not saying I want to go to Hawaii in a camper van. I think that would be an epic. I mean, maybe that would be great. But I'd really started to get like, where's my camper van? I really want a camper van. Every time I saw one, and like, I used to be excited. Now I'm like, how does that fucker have a camper van and I don't have one yet? Like, where's my camper van? So yeah, it was an interesting journal session. But I think how we free ourselves from it is maybe starting to ask those questions. We all expect something on some level, but can you be okay with not having it? So I'm going to turn that question on you, Eloise. I want to know, if the magical universal being floated down in front of you and was like, boom, cat mum, new house, well done, congratulations, but this is it, how would that make you feel? Could you be okay with that?
Yeah, I could, because there's kind of two things going on with what you've just kind of described. And one of them is destination addiction, which is very real. It's like we get the promotion, then we're looking for the next promotion. We go on the holiday. While we're on that holiday, we're looking for the next holiday. We, reach a milestone in our business, and we look at that next destination without actually celebrating the achievement of where we have got to.
Yeah.
And the work, and recognizing and acknowledging the work that it took to get there. Going back to this kind of expectation thing is, a lot of the time we just need to be kinder to ourselves, like to be able to say, well, I've had a crappy day, or this is happening, or like, I'm moving house, I'm stressed, all of this stuff is happening. So out of the 10 things that I do, I'll go for a walk. I'll do one of them, to be able, instead of being like, it's a write-off. So with this, so the other thing is kind of like, with the destination, and this goes back to the first thing that you spoke about kind of, we live our lives with doing these things and having these expectations, and the actions that we are taking. So whether it's the meditation every day, whether it's the drinking green juice, whether it's the, those things do not come with a guarantee of never getting cancer, of, becoming an ascendant master, anything like that. So you are doing those things with the expectation attached that it will give you those things.
Yeah.
And we really need to act from a place of joy and not having that expectation. Like for me, I'm not really exercising at the moment. I'm just going for walks.
Yeah.
And that's because that's what I feel like doing. That's what my body feels like doing. Rather than forcing myself to exercise. Like I used to do HIIT all the time. My background's as a Pilates teacher. I haven't done Pilates in a very long time either. And to make myself do those things, it would be to lose weight and to try and kind of reach this destination. But it's life is about enjoying.
Yeah.
When we come back to the present moment, we need to enjoy what we have. It's not, those things, those actions, they're not an insurance policy. And if they make us miserable, then don't do them. Like, obviously there's stuff that we all have to do that we don't love. But yeah.
I love that you've gone there. I love that I actually think this is everybody's purpose. Aside from the mission, I think we have a purpose and a mission. I think the purpose is just to feel joy. And I had that once. I actually had that come to me. It was like, your purpose is really simple. Feel joy, give it back in return. Done. Exactly. That's it, right? And
exactly.
You're right. If we do, like, there's all these wonderful things that we can do, but and all of these, there's so much being taught about how exercise is great for mental health, and it is. Eating the right foods can really help you. There are definitely foods that go against you, and so it's striking that balance. But it's doing these things because you already said at the moment you're walking because that's what feels aligned. It's what feels aligned right now. Now that's a tricky one, because I think lots of people will go, okay, then I don't feel aligned to exercise and eat salad. I feel aligned to eat chocolate every day. But you know what? I think the truth of the matter is you're probably not aligned to that. I'll speak for myself, but most of the time when I'm choosing something like a can of Coke or a bar of chocolate or a bag of crisps, it isn't actually aligned. I'm trying to I'm trying to soothe something. It's usually, if I'm a little bit out of whack, for example, then I will reach for salty snacks. It's just, and there's no enjoyment. The minute you learn to be mindful about what you're putting in your body, it's groundbreaking, and it's a bit of a game changer, because you realize as you're doing the thing, it's like, I'm not actually enjoying this. I'm not enjoying this. It's like smoking. Well, I've never smoked, so I don't really understand people that do. But I do know that there are like loads of people who smoke because they just did it once and it became a habit. There are only a small handful of people who genuinely can say they enjoy doing it. Most of the people that are smoking are just doing it out of habit now. And I think that's where I'm at with a lot of my bad habits when it comes to, sugary things and whatever. And, when I'm in that mindset, especially when I've got myself in a mindset of, right, I do want to lose weight. I want to feel a bit better. That's the first thing I notice. I'm not enjoying this. So then why am I doing it? Like, and what is that? So it is, what is aligned for you? It's a really cool question to ask, because it won't always be what you think. And then going along that, the exercise, I'll use that as an example again, because I think for so many people that's relative right now. We're all carrying a little extra lockdown weight. So for me, when I made my decision at the start of this year, it was still snowing, by the way, which is a terrible time for me to try anything outdoors, because I hate it. I hate being cold. So I've just got a stack of excuses. I haven't even got anywhere. But still, bless my heart, I thought I'd give it a go. And it was like, right, I'm going to go running every day. And I couldn't keep it up. And then it was like, well, it's because I don't like running. I don't like it. Walking, I really enjoy, though. Love a walk. And a walk I can do with friends. I don't have that many friends that would be excited about running with me. But I have a lot of friends that get excited about a walk. I've arranged one this week with my friends next week. You know, we're all going to go. And I think that's the thing, is also recognizing that, and this is relative to any industry. It doesn't have to be fitness and health. It could be anything. There's no rule book that says you have to do these things to get that result, because in every case you can find someone who has never done those things who still has that result. It's just the way the world is. We're all different. We're all different shapes and sizes. We have different triggers. We have different things that we enjoy, different things we don't like. You know, a great example of this is my sister. My sister is slim as a rake, like so slim, can literally eat about 10 extra large pizzas in one sitting and would not put an ounce of weight on. And that's just the way she's built. She's not she hasn't got her figure because she relentlessly drills herself with yoga and green juice. She doesn't. She loves a pizza. She loves a cup of tea, dunking a biscuit in it. Like, it is what it is, you know, and it's all perception. And I think so many of us are forcing ourselves to do these things with the expectation of an outcome, when actually it's only one way of getting the result. And then, like you said before, what's the point of that result if you're actually not happy at the end of it? You know, you want to be joyful, and it's asking yourself, what would make me joyful? Now, for a lot of people, they're not joyful because they're making choices in their life that are not leading to joy. But I think if we could make joy like the destination, like the thing you put in your GPS, right? Not a slimmer stomach, not, you know, longer hair or clearer skin or more money in the bank or a better spouse or whatever. If our GPS destination was just simply joy, then how would that change the choices that we're making? How would that change our expectations? I think that this is just the perfect message, especially this week, because I just realized that my website, I talk all the time about joy. I feel like leading people back to joy is exactly what I do. And yet I looked at my website. I'm doing branding at the moment with someone, and it was all about how your branding speaks about your, you know, who you are. And I looked at my website and was like, oh my God, there's nothing on this website that alludes to the level of shenanigans that people will experience when they work with me. Like, it was all very spiritual and serious, you know. Yeah. And it was all true. It's all true. It's all stuff I believe. But there was no shenanigans on there. And I was like, wait a minute. So I've made all the writing purple. I've changed it. I've literally made it a conversation about joy, because I just think that's it. That is not only my job, it's what I'm really frigging good at. I can, with a snap of a finger, help someone feel better and help someone get back to joy. And I think actually we all have the ability to do that for other people and for ourselves as well. So awesome point. I can see we've got a thumbs up from Tammy. Thank you, Tammy, for that. If people are watching on the others, let me just check in, because we're live in 3 places at the moment. So I can't. Oh, we've got Simon on as well. Hi, Simon. Oh, yeah, look, there's lots of people. Lots of people are watching, but I can only see one video at a time. So if I'm ignoring you, I'm very sorry. You can put your comments in though, and if we miss any on this live stream, we'll go back and answer instead. Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, where do I want to go from here? I mean, for a start, anybody watching, if you've got questions about anything we've just said or any comments that you want to make, do drop them in and we'll go from there. Eloise, any other thoughts around, do you think there's any tangible steps that we can take to free ourselves? Because I actually feel like holding expectation is something we're just so conditioned to do. I don't think it's necessarily something we could wipe out 100%, at least not straight away. But what are some things you think we could do to maybe start moving away from expectation, and specifically moving away from the disappointment that follows when we don't get what we think we want?
It just kind of came to me, like, there are times when we need to have expectations. Like, you go to a bank machine, you put your card in, and you want to get money out. You expect that money is going to come out, and if it doesn't, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So, we don't want to wipe it completely, but it's recognizing where it doesn't serve you, where it is going to cause more angst and more kind of misery. And what you were saying before, like, people getting attached to the expectations and the outcomes and then not coming from a place of joy, that's also because of the expectations that society puts on us.
Yeah.
So we have expectations from ourselves, you know, about the eating healthy and the yoga and whatever. We have expectations from other people, you know, our partners and our friends and our family. They expect things of us, you know, whether we like it or not. And then we have all of these unspoken things, you know, about having it all and and trying to kind of live up to like a perfect life. Type things.
It's rife, isn't it, on social media at the moment? That's absolutely rife. I think that's why so many of us are in this situation now, because we're just bombarded. You know, when we're feeling a bit low, what do? We go and scroll. We scroll on something that just makes it 5 bajillion times worse, because it's like, look at all the people that are happier than me. And it's not true. It's just not true.
I don't really get that so much on my social media. Maybe I don't follow people who are obnoxious.
Yeah. Oh God. Cultivating your feed is a game changer. What was it this week? Kevin, my husband, he just kind of jumped onto Facebook. We were just setting up a program to watch, and he was filling the time. You know, he couldn't possibly sit there for 3 seconds while we waited for the program to start. So he was on. God, what was the video that came on? And I can't remember what it was, but I was like, why on earth is that video on your feed? Because I would never see a video like that. He always gets these videos of like street brawls, you know, like people fighting in the street and like, or like just being horrible to each other. And I honestly can't remember what this video was, but it was baffling to me. I was like, what, like, why is that on your feed? Like, what have you been clicking on or talking about that has made Facebook think that this is what you want to see? Cultivating your feed. And this is something people don't think that they have control over. I've seen people post going, oh, can people stop posting about blah, 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 because it's upsetting me. Then unfollow those people. You have the power to unfollow people that are posting content that doesn't light you up. Unfollow those people. Go find the ones. Like there's such an array of people in the world and such an array of people on social media that, you know, and I would agree with you. When I look on my social media, not so much Instagram. This is interesting. My Instagram, I've managed to fill with lots of people that do their makeup and their hair completely different to me. Like they're not au naturel at all. They're the complete opposite. So I can get on Instagram and be like, oh God, I look like an alien compared to these people. I don't look like this. But on Facebook, when I see people complaining about their feed, I'm like, no, I think I've become really good at following awesome people that spread light and joy and motivation. And it's not always easy conversations. This isn't about creating echo chambers and whitewashing. This is about, quite often they post, you know, really kind of crucial conversations, and people don't always agree, but it's always respectful and it's always expansive, and that's what I try and do. And if I see anything, you know, like if somebody goes, oh, I just took a shit and took a photo of it, I'm like, gone. Like, I don't want to see your shit in the toilet. Like, and that happens, people. That actually happened on my feed. I had to unfollow somebody that had taken a shit. They were very proud of what they'd achieved, and they took a picture of it. And I was like, mate, I don't need to see that on my Facebook.
Well, now I'm like, was it that impressive?
I was just baffled. I was like, oh my God, like I'm sure there are other things in your life you can be proud of. I mean, you know, if that floats your boat, great. It doesn't float mine, but that's the point, right? You don't have to get butthurt about the things you're seeing. Just pick and choose. But yeah, sorry, I totally jumped in, but I think that's where we're all at, and especially since lockdown, I think social media is kind of all we've had. So I don't know if you can remember where you were going with that, but let's try and get you back where you were.
I don't know either, but it's also about recognizing our triggers. So like you said, you're kind of feeling triggered at the moment about the camper van situation. It's like, okay, you know, what is underneath this? Where is this coming from? Where's the story where everyone else had what I wanted except for me?
Yeah.
Just like go straight into there. So there's a bit of that, but also one thing that I've kind of realized over time is that you know, you need to realize what you bring to the table. You're not like, you're never going to be like anyone else, but that's what your gift is.
Yeah.
And so you need to own that. Like, I don't know if I told you this, or if it was, this is going to go on a tangent, or in the podcast, but basically in like the Pilates industry, because I was a Pilates teacher, they do this thing in March where like you take a picture of a different position every day and blah blah blah. And so I had the idea where I was like, I mean, when I conceived of the idea, I was in like peak physical conditioning, and I was like, well, you know, I'm going to do it like I'm going to do them all naked, like nude yoga girl, as like this beautiful artistic thing.
Yeah.
So I had probably about 8 months to prepare for it. Once it kind of came around, I wasn't exactly in the shape that I was when I conceived of it. So I was like, what am I going to do it? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, push through it, you know, a lot of internal resistance anyway. And I put it up, I posted it. It was on my Pilates Instagram, and it was like, you know, and everyone was like, oh my God, like, you're so brave. Like that's like amazing. And they're like, you're so, you know, you're so inspiring, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, for me to do this thing that, you know, really took quite a lot, because I didn't want to like, I was like, well, I had to psych myself up. To be able to make people feel better and more confident about themselves, you know, makes it all worth it, makes all of the resistance worth it. And I knew, because I was like, I'm such an open book, but because I was like trying to recoil, I knew that even more that I had to post it.
Yeah.
But I realized that, you know, I thought that I had, you know, I thought I completely loved and accepted myself as I was, and my physical appearance and everything. But, you know, going through the process of editing the photos and things, you know, I was like, okay, there's a bit more work to do on it. But the main thing that came out was like, once you realize what you have and what you bring to the table, and also what you will never be. So, you know, I'm like 5'9", I'm like fairly curvy, you know, I'm never going to be like any of these little petite ballerina pocket rockets, you know, that like all of my colleagues were, but that's okay. You know, like there's a market for that. And you know, even them are like, you know, I wish I had your figure because you're curvy. And it's like, you're never going to have what you want. You're always the grass is always greener.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just have to accept and acknowledge and appreciate.
Yeah, I think this is where we're at. And I think it's going to be quite an epic undertaking, but it really is. It's striking that balance, isn't it? It's accepting, because I think for so many people, getting to that acceptance feels like they've given up on their dream, right? It feels like letting go of what they really want. And I think there could be an element of that, but you know, you're right. When it comes to the camper van, like for me to accept that I don't have one doesn't mean I can never have one. And actually there's probably some very simple things I could do to go and get one. If I'm not doing it, there's a reason underneath that. There's a good reason why. And you know, and it's about coming away from, it's actually getting to the root of, why do you want that? Why is it so important? Because you might get underneath and realize that it's not that important after all. You just thought it was. And a lot of our goals feel important just because we've been conditioned, bless you. We've been conditioned to think that that's what we must aim for. And this is the expectation I want us to free ourselves from. It's expectation, because, you know, for a start, expectation on the journey to a goal can suck. But also when you get the goal, if you held any expectation around what kind of person you were going to be when you got there. You know, I interviewed Lisa Johnson on this podcast a little while back. Her episode hasn't aired yet, but it's coming up. And now Lisa Johnson is now a hugely successful businesswoman. But 3 years ago, that wasn't her reality. And as a child, she grew up on a council estate in extreme poverty and was extremely bullied because she didn't have any of the nice things. And I think one of the things that she said in her interview that really struck me was, because I think I asked her something like, what's been the biggest surprise for you? Or like, what's the thing you want people to know? And she was like, you're still going to be you when you make your money. Like, I think we all have this idea that when we get thinner, we're suddenly going to be a different person, or when we have all the money, like we're suddenly, you know, going to be a different person. You're not. Wherever you go, there you'll be. Like, you are you. It's time to really accept that. And it doesn't mean drop all of your dreams and your goals. The opposite. I love goal setting, but be really intentional about what you're setting your goals around. Be really aware of where your goals are rooted in what other people think you should be doing, or rooted in what other people have done, and therefore you've told yourself you should do it. And instead, you know, I think it would be so great if we could all live our lives like we are the ones forging the path, because actually that's what's true. And although we can very much lean on each other, of course we're supposed to be inspired by each other and support each other. Together we're stronger. I say it all the time. However, you know, it's not necessarily the case that you're going to follow in the footsteps of other people. You can appreciate those footsteps and maybe bring a few of them with you, but actually you're forging your own path. And it comes back to everything you said: alignment to joy, right? What is it that lights you up? And, you know, so much of that is, even in the online space, you know, I've been in the online space since 2015. So many times without even realizing, I told myself, you know, I'd kind of hit on something that I wanted to do and then instantly told myself, oh yeah, that won't work. You can't do that because people aren't doing that. Or you can't do that. You'll never make money doing that. Like, or you can't be successful doing that. Like, it's a whole load of bullshit. And then that's when we start to try and make ourselves into something we're not. And that's when it all falls away, because your only job was ever to come here and be you. Like, it seems simple, really, but we're scrambling so hard to get away from who we are. And that's the complete opposite of what we're here to do. Tammy's commented and said, yes, I get that a lot. I think it was what you were sharing before when you were talking about the naked yoga. By the way, I definitely heard a virtual stampede of people going to find your Instagram when you mentioned that you were.
It's in private now, so.
Oh, bad luck, people. Come back to the live stream. Go and find someone else naked to look at. Such a great conversation. So true.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's like, if you lose the weight, as you said, you're still the same person. And if you don't deal with your relationship with yourself and how you feel about yourself, you're still not going to like how you look.
Yeah.
There's going to be something else. Or I mean, I find that for myself and through speaking to other people, it's like we never really see ourselves how we are. You know, it's like definitely growing up, you know, always kind of, you know, you always want to like lose those, like, you know, just 1 or 2 kilos. But then looking back on photos, you're like, oh my gosh, I would kill to look like that.
Oh,
so you never see yourself as you are at the time. So it's just let it go.
Yeah. Do you know, that happened? I remember it was after I'd had at least 2 of my kids, if not all 3. And, you know, I was like, oh, I want to lose a bit of weight, I want to lose my belly. And I found an old photo of me in Florida in 2005, I think it was. And I can remember in the run up to that holiday feeling disappointed with myself because I hadn't lost as much weight as I wanted to. And there's a picture of me in these teeny tiny shorts with this teeny tiny bikini top and my untouched, beautiful body that's had no children. And I'm just leaning on the telly and pointing to it because it was freaking huge. And like, it was my first time in America and everything was just enormous to me. I was like, oh my God, everything's huge. And I looked at that photo and was like, you twat. I spent the whole holiday feeling disappointed with myself and trying to cover up my belly. And then I'm looking at it, you know, 3 kids later going, love, like, you don't even know, like, what a great body you had. You should have been naked every day. Like, it was a gift to the world. You know? And the other thing about that is age. You know, people talk about aging a lot and they go, oh, I'm in my 40s now. And when I was in my 20s, it was blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, you can live your whole life looking back, or you could ask yourself right now, what would the 50-year-old version of you tell the 40-year-old version of you that's belly aching right now that you're old? What would the 95-year-old version of you say to the 40-year-old version of you that thinks that they're past it and thinks they haven't got anything left to give? Like, you know, you've got to shift that perception around.
I
Absolutely.
love that. And, you know, people sort of, you know, if you want to have like a career change or something, people in their 30s or their 40s tend to want to do, you know, it's like, oh, it's too late to start. And it's like, well, if you live till you're 80, you've got another 40 years of this life. So better start doing what you like.
Exactly that. And I always like to think, you know, I mean, I'm 43 now, but my life feels like a lifetime because it is. So I've got another lifetime ahead of me, hopefully. Who knows? But that's the hope, right? Or is that expectation? It's like, I've screwed myself up, blown my own mind. But, you know, that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it? You might have a whole lifetime. We've come full circle. There was one thing you just said that I wanted to pick up on real quick before we wrap up. And that was around, it was around, you said something about seeing yourself as others see you. And this happened this week to me. I was invited to be an ambassador in a group that I'm part of. And I was so honored to be asked and I was excited. And then as soon as the post went out and made it official, I could feel all this imposter syndrome and all these voices going, oh, like, why have they asked you to do that? Like, what have you got to offer this community? And I journaled on it. Like, I always go to my journal when I'm having these conflicts. And that was the exact line that came out. It was like, can you start to see yourself the way that others see you? And I think it's such a brilliant thing to finish on, because for everybody listening, you know, if you find it hard to live with yourself, or if you find it hard to love who you are right now, can you start to believe the people around you that are telling you what they see when they see you? There's a great exercise I was asked to do once, and I've passed this on so many times to coaching clients, and that is to go to 5 people, right? Or you can do 10 or whatever, and ask them what your 3 top qualities are. What are the 3 things that they love most about you? It's and people are so nervous to do this, number one, because they think that it's glory grabbing. They feel like it's fishing, or they feel like people are going to think that they're egotistical or big-headed or whatever. But here's the thing: the people that are that close to you aren't going to think that, because they know the truth. They know that you're not, unless you are, in which case own it. You know, love that. But it's always surprising. They always, like, people always come back and they always say, number one, I didn't want to do it. And then number 2, I pushed through and I did it anyway, because they knew they were going to come back and I was going to kick their ass if they hadn't done it. And then the third thing is they are always shocked at the things people are saying about them, because it isn't what they would say about themselves, because they're so busy looking at their flaws. They're so busy listing all the ways that they failed and listing all the things they've got wrong and all of the ways they could be better, that when somebody like their best friend or their mum or whoever says to them, oh, I love the way you always make someone laugh, or I love the way you sing when you make pasta, like whatever it is, like tiny little things. These are the things that people, and you're surrounded by people that see that and love that about you, you can absolutely trust and know that that's truth, right? And you can start to believe that, even if it's hard to believe it, first of all. I have a beautiful canvas that my choir made me a few years back, where they did it as a surprise, and they all were asked to choose a few words to describe me. And then they made one of these canvases where it's just all the words in different shapes and sizes. And I was told that the bigger and bolder the words, the more frequently those things came up. And it was all words like, you know, motivational, inspirational, beautiful, kind, funny. You know, I think somebody just wrote boom, because I say boom a lot. And, you know, things that you would just take for granted, things that you would never think about yourself. And that canvas hangs in my studio. And every time I'm feeling a little bit shit, or I've forgotten who I am, or forgotten what's lovely about me, I look at that canvas and I know that a choir of 50 people all have those opinions of me. Like, who am I to not believe that, right? And so I want to invite anyone listening to go and do that today. You know, whether you're struggling to love yourself or not, let's all just do it. It's such a great exercise to understand the way that the world sees you, because that is really valid. It's not always about what you see on the inside. And I think so many of us battle with that, and it's like a lifelong battle. let's just move beyond that. Let's just go, okay, we'll honor that. We know that that's going to hang around, but let's not spend all our time hanging out in that space. Let's let the people around us lift us up. I think that's collaboration, connection. That's where we're at right now. So
the less time that we can spend wallowing and agonizing over these things, because those are the things that rob us of our joy.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're feeling that, feel it, process it, maybe journal on it, let it go. When we start to become neurotic into it, then it's a pathway.
Exactly that. And joy is your birthright. So you should get back to it. And I want to just say this, because there are some people listening who will have been given experiences in their life that absolutely would have felt like they sapped their joy. And yet joy is always available. I've never met anybody that couldn't still find a smile, regardless of what they've been through. And I'm talking about awful, harrowing things. And when you smile, you're not betraying the memory of the harrowing thing that happened, especially if that's in the case of losing a loved one, right? You're not betraying their memory by smiling. You're actually honoring that person's memory. You're honoring whatever the harrowing thing was. You're honoring the beauty in that by allowing yourself to smile again. You're not smiling and going, oh, none of that mattered, or I'm over it. You're saying, in spite of that, I can still smile. And I think that's the real gift. So
absolutely. And if anyone is struggling with that, there is a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor. And that is exactly what it is on. And so, he went through a lot of, horrible things, and has written this book. And if he can see the beauty in that, then I think we all can.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll link to that in the show notes. This is going to go out on the podcast as well. So if you're listening on the podcast, hello to you. I just waved to you. You won't know that because you're listening on the podcast. But for those watching right now, you can have the wave instead. Oh, Eloise, thank you so much. It's been awesome to have you back on the Confidence Academy. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing fairy lights into our lives at this early hour in the UK.
You're welcome. And I'll also bring...
Oh, look at the kitty. Oh, see, this is going to cause an argument in our house, because we are just having the conversation about, do we let the boys and Sophia have a pet? And the boys want a cat, and I'm a cat person, but Kevin is a dog person, and he's going for a dog. And I'm actually veering towards a dog as well, because I've done the cat thing. I used to have a lot of cats, and I'm ready to try something else, but the boys are really in for cats. And I think if I let them see this, then look at him. Oh, beautiful boy.
He's too much. He's too much.
We could have not said a thing. I just think an hour of watching you stroke your beautiful cat would have just soothed the souls of everyone.
He does have his own Instagram.
Does he? I'm following. What's it called?
Osito, OSITO _BSH, because he's a British short hair. So he's absolutely ridiculous. So
I am following. We will put that link in the show notes as well if you want some beautiful kissing goodness to go and follow on Instagram. Get it in ya. Oh, Eloise, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that's been watching as well. Remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. We will be back. There's a new episode coming out on Monday. I will be back again next week for TCA Live. But guess what, you guys? I am loving this time of day. So I might move TCA Live. I might not even have a structured time. That's not me anyway. You might just have to roll with the punches and find out when we're going live each week. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. But Eloise, have a wonderful day. And everyone watching, look after yourselves. We will be back again soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Lily. Thank you for having me.